right, I'm Chris Avina with American Outdoor News. Welcome to another edition of the American Outdoor News podcast. Today we have with us John Stallone of howlforwildlife.org. John, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Can you, you've been hunting forever, and you're very involved in the outdoor community and helping to preserve our lifestyle, our outdoor lifestyle. Can you tell us a little bit about Howl for Wildlife? How'd that get started?
Well, kind of started a few years ago, really. For me, it started a few years ago. The actual Howl for Wildlife, the concept of it was only thought of about a year ago. A few years back, though, I was pushing the Hunter Up initiative. It was basically just me on a soapbox talking to whoever would listen, trying to get hunters to become more of a community and less of an individual. You know, it's an individual sport. We know it's an individual sport, it's definitely not a team sport, but viewing us all as a community, all as one. There's so many division, so much division between us.
Yep.
So many things that we'll go down that road here in a little bit. But so I was, talking to whoever wanted to listen to me about it, and I was doing my own podcast with it, and or had brought it up in my own podcast and been on a couple other guys' podcasts and did some blogs and whatnot, and wrote some articles, but I didn't really get any traction. I guess you got a lot of pushback, which was crazy to me. But even then that's where the realization came in that this is super important. This needs to happen in order for us to continue to flourish, to continue to even keep, not necessarily even flourish, keep what we have. Mm-hmm. So fast forward to last year, there was a bill in California, SB 252, to eliminate bear hunting in California. And my hunting partner and one of my best friends, Charles Whitwam, calls me up. He lives in California, and he's like, "Hey, they're trying to ban bear hunting here. What can we do about it?" I'm like, "Well, I've had some success before with other things. Let's get a change.org petition going, and we'll push it out to as many people as we know between you and I. I mean, I've been podcasting for 14 years, and I've been in the industry for 22 years. And so I know a lot of influential people, and I'm like, I'll just get it out to everybody I know, and you get it out to everybody you know, and we'll push this thing." Well, in 5 days, we got 27,000 signatures.
Wow.
To oppose that bill. And we generated like $18,000 worth of donations, which was crazy. And so we won. That Senator Weiner was the guy who was sponsoring that bill. He dropped it like a hot rock. He was like, I want to have nothing to do with this. And so we won, which was amazing. So Charles and I looked at each other and we're like, wow, there's something to this. So we tried it again in 2 other states with 2 other actions. And we got it, not quite the response from the hunters, but we got the same result, which was awesome. Okay, so now between the 3, we generated like almost $30,000 worth of funding, but that for $30,000 went to change.org. I'm like, wait a second, change.org is kind of anti-hunting. They lean kind of to that other side.
Yep.
And they have a lot of anti-hunting petitions going on this thing. So they're not really our friends. And we can't do anything with the money that people are thinking that they're donating to the cause. So I said, we need to start our own change.org for hunters and anglers, Long story short, I started going down this road. I built this website and it sucked. It didn't work the way we wanted it to. And well, Charles had a bunch of time on his hands because California shut down his business, his outdoor business that he had. He couldn't really work. So he was like, I'm going to jump into this. And he took the concept from what it was to what it is today. And he just went, mad scientist, and developed this platform. And on January 11th, we launched. I mean, we launched it prematurely because, and I say prematurely, we weren't really ready. From a technology standpoint, we were ready. We had all the working parts. The website worked as we intended it to. All the technology, et cetera, was there. But we hadn't figured out, okay, are we going to be 501c3? We're going to be for profit. We're going to do this. We hadn't figured out any of that yet, really. We hadn't really figured out how we were going to structure the inner workings. But a buddy of mine sent me a message here in Arizona and said, hey, they're trying to get rid of mountain lion hunting, bear hunting, and bobcat hunting here. What can we do?
In Colorado?
No, this was in Arizona.
Oh, wow.
They did that in Colorado too, but Colorado was more of a formal thing. This was a little bit more informal. We were still in the comment period for the Arizona Game and Fish.
Yeah.
So it was a lot easier for us to win. Anyway, he calls me up and or sends me a message, and I call up Charles. I'm like, listen, hey, it's time. Let's just launch it. Let's see what we can do with this. Not knowing that here we are, it's March 2nd. What is that? 7 weeks, 6 weeks,
it's not even 2 months later.
Right. That we'd have 18,000 members. So it went really wildfire fast.
Yeah.
And since then, and you can go on Howl for Wildlife and look in the archive, we've either won or progressed every bill that we've been involved in. So it was like 10 bills or something, 10 or 15 bills that we've gotten involved in. Mm-hmm. There's several on there still that we're still working on. And the concept of it is just basically activating, and that's a buzzword, activation. People don't like it because being active is very associated with super liberal or anti-hunting type views, but we have to be activists as hunters.
Sure.
But the concept is activating us hunters to get involved on issues right here, right now, and not waiting. So the old model is waiting till it gets to litigation and or it gets to become on a ballot issue where we have to educate people to go vote on it and so on and so forth. And all that costs a lot of money.
Yes.
That's money that can be freed up from all these other organizations that are collecting membership fees and so on and so forth to use for habitat development, for the betterment of, species specific stuff. And it's silly. I mean, all that money it is. I actually, it's on my YouTube, and I just posted it again on my Instagram. There's a funny parody video on HUSIS, Humane Society of the United States, that they're saving all these lawyers because that's what they're doing. They're saving all, and the reality of it is, in certain ways, that's on us too, on our side, because we have to combat those lawyers with our own, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of money, tons of your money doesn't go to what you want it to go to. It has to go to this. For us, it has to go to this because we're sitting there always on the defense, right?
Yeah.
They spend no money, zero money on saving animals in any way, shape, or form.
It goes towards hate campaigns against us.
Their main focus is to steer the narrative in mainstream media, not the way we talk. We talk amongst ourselves. We're always patting each other on the back, and we're always preaching to the choir. Anytime anybody gets up on a soapbox, they're talking to a bunch of hunters. They're not talking to non-hunters. They're certainly not talking to anti-hunters. So their whole philosophy is, let's get the word out to the non-hunting public, which is the largest majority of the United States, of anywhere in the world, really. And let's give them our propaganda. Let's give them our narrative so that if a thing reaches a ballot box, and they're going to sympathize with us.
Mm-hmm.
So, that that money that you're giving them goes to doing that. It doesn't go to saving,
Well,
dogs.
legally, a non-for-profit, you send money to the Red Cross or whether it's Black Lives Matter or whatever. Legally, a non-for-profit only has to use 3%
Right.
of donated money towards the actual cause that they're donating to. The rest will go to overhead, offices, salaries, whatever it is.
Right.
So when you donate to a cause, you really have to make sure and do your homework and find out where that money's going. Where I know, like your organization or some of these military non-for-profits,
Mhm.
80% or more will go towards the cause, which is unheard of.
It's they're making it harder, but you could still follow the money pretty easily.
Yeah,
It's not, I can't say it's transparent because it's supposed to be real transparent, but it's not.
supposed to be reported
Yeah.
as a non-for-profit.
From our standpoint, we're so new. We haven't figured out a lot of this stuff, but for us, we're trying to be as upfront and to be as, open and honest with what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
The website itself actually costs quite a bit of money to run because we're connected to every decision maker at every level in the government, and not necessarily the government, but like game and fish commissions, committees, so on and so forth. We're connected to all those, and that comes with a very large expense. And because we are a numbers type organization, I mean, all organizations want to have big numbers, but some of these really big organizations, they may only have 20, 30,000 members total, and they're
Mhm.
giant. It's like a giant conglomerate in comparison to what we are. But we have, there's a thing called CRM or whatever. Basically, we have to keep all these members in line. You have to be able to, excuse me, my dog's going crazy over here and it's kind of throwing my thought process off. The CRM costs a lot of money. So there is a lot, right? And right now it's just myself, Charles, and we have some contract employees that we're working with. And then we have a few, but we need to pay for people to handle stuff because we're getting so big. There's to a point that right now there's so many projects that we want to get involved in. We can't do that because Charles and I are, wearing too many hats, spinning plates.
Yep. Gets a little overwhelming.
So yeah, I get it from a standpoint of view that there is operational costs, right? But then you look at stuff like, the president of Houston is making like $750,000 a year salary. Like, come on.
Well,
if that doesn't tell you something,
you don't have to look any further than the NRA. Wayne LaPierre, what's he have, a $250,000 clothing allowance? Come on. How many Omani suits are you going to buy?
Exactly. I mean, it's so, yes, you definitely need to kind of look at this stuff and look at the overall good at what things are doing. I definitely don't want to take anything away from, there's a lot of great organizations out there and I support a crap ton of them. I'm a member of the Old Deer Foundation, Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, Wild Sheep, all of them I've donated money to over the years. And they do great work within their niche. And I definitely don't want this to be a bashing on other
Well, the main problem that we have as hunters, we're our own worst enemy.
Right.
The bow hunters don't like the crossbow hunters. The bow hunters don't like the rifle hunters, or the muzzleloader hunters don't like. Yeah. We're all doing the same thing. We all share the same passion. Why is there a problem?
Yeah, there's a lot of infighting, and there's a lot of disconnect too when it comes to hunting. So it's like, what does a guy in New York give a crap about? That whitetail hunts, give a crap about a guy in Colorado who elk hunts. It just,
It's all connected.
it doesn't compute to them, but the reality is we are all connected. If you look at it from the 30,000-foot view, right? And we're all donating into the same pot,
Yep.
right? And that same pot gets divvied between all the states, based on, well, we'll go down that road, but based on metrics, right? So that's one way to look at it. You take one of those people that are donating out of that pot, then you become less relevant. Then the other side of it is too, is like anytime they take away, so we just had this here in Arizona last year, we lost the use of trail cameras. Now Utah lost the use of trail cameras.
Yeah.
So how long does it take till that translate over to South Carolina?
Well, what they do is they push it in one state, they pass the bill, and that's their model.
Right.
Well, they did it there. This is how it's going to work. This is how we did it, and this is how we push it through.
Right. Exactly. So that, they set precedents is basically what it is, and it makes it easier. The other thing is, like, if you look at it in this standpoint, I'm going to use California as an example here. California, they were trying to, again, this year, they went after bear hunting again.
Mm-hmm.
The bear population over there is giant. It's the most in the whole country. Okay. Ginormous. Some people don't even have as many deer as they have bear. So if the bear population were to go unchecked, eventually the deer population over there would not be sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
And all the bear hunters that we first off, bear hunting gets taken away, you lose all the bear hunters. You lose all the people that were just bear hunters, right?
Yeah.
They're probably not going to hunt anymore. They're going to mountain bike now. Okay. So you lost that amount of people, however many that is. And so California's got a huge hunting community, and you don't realize it because you think California, you think of San Francisco, you think LA, whatever. But
Yeah.
California has a lot of hunters. Okay. So you lose a big chunk of people there, however many thousand that is. So that's how many thousand less contributing to the big pot. You become less relevant. Then now they lose deer hunting, and maybe those deer hunters start venturing out and going into other states, okay, and hunting other states. So now the guys in Arizona, because I'm right next door, we start seeing more California people, and our opportunity goes down. So yes, now it's going to affect my hunting directly, okay, or again, they're not going to hunt anymore. Okay. I can't hunt anymore.
Not to mention millions of dollars in revenue that the state is losing.
Of course, that's also directly related. But I'm trying to draw a line between how a guy in California has something to do with a guy in New Jersey. Okay. And so if you look at it like that, you're like, oh my God. But then you start to realize, yeah, shit, we're all connected. And how long would it take until this ends up on my front door? And, the Eastern Seaboard is, and a lot of the Southeast is not as heavily affected by the predator thing, because they don't have the predators that we have in the West or the upper Midwest and stuff like that. So they're not going to have that where they're going to come and take, bear hunting away, because bear hunting is not really a thing in, let's say, South Carolina. Okay. But eventually, when you're the last person standing, and now you're this small group of people that love deer hunting and hog hunting in South Carolina, but the rest of the country is no longer there to stand up with you.
Yep.
You get it. So, I mean, that's pretty extreme, obviously, but
no, it's like they're doing with our civil liberties. They're chipping away. Before you know it, it's gone, and you don't even realize it. So They're doing the same thing here with us. And I believe Jersey has a moratorium on bear hunting right now as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. We've actually been contacted. Can we help them get bear hunting reinstated? I said, we've told them, listen, if you got a boots on the ground organization that's willing to put together a bill and submit it to somebody who's willing to listen to you, they're in Jersey, yeah, we'll put all the weight behind Howl for Wildlife to help you get that reinstated, to show the numbers of people that want it back. But I can't, Howl cannot write bills. We can't do that stuff. We can't lobby. So, but yeah, it's crazy, the disconnect. I mentioned how the anti-hunters work in the mainstream, and the message that they've been ingraining in the non-hunting public forever, since the 40s.
Yep.
Maybe even earlier. If you look back at like Bambi and, Elmer Fudd from early Looney Tunes and all this stuff, and the picture that is painted.
Marissa Tomei from My Cousin Vinny.
Exactly. I mean, super funny movie. Love that movie. But that is it. It's interjection all the way. And I've used
That's what you remember.
Right. Exactly. I use this example a lot. Was a movie that Reese Witherspoon was in. It's called Wild, I think. And I don't know the whole movie, because I turned it on and it was a few minutes before this part happened. As soon as this part happened, I just shut it off, because I was like, I can't. But she's hiking, I believe, like on the Oregon Trail or something.
Oregon Trail, yeah.
And she runs into two hunters. They're elk hunters, and they're backpacking. First and foremost, neither one of them in camo. They're like dressed up like old school, like we would go hunting before camo was invented, with flannel shirts and jeans and whatever, which is fine. There's a lot of guys that still do that, and that's not a big deal. But there we are. We're painting that hillbilly-ish type picture, right? That's what they're trying to paint.
Yep.
And one of the guys is drinking a beer. Well, first and foremost, if anybody's been on an elk hunt, you sure shit ain't carrying a freaking 6-pack of beer. Okay.
Working.
I mean, I know when I elk hunt, I'm averaging 8 to 10 miles a day. There's no way I'm carrying a 6-pack with me.
Yep.
Number one. But the whole like feeling that's going on in the scene is like, you're looking at these two guys and you're like, these guys are going to rape her. They're going to rape this girl in the backcountry right now.
Yep.
Man, it's this, they're super creepy. Everything about him's like, oh, and you could tell she's afraid of them.
Yep.
And I don't even know. They might have raped her later on in the movie. I have no clue. And I never went back to look. I actually almost want to go back, because I've used this example too many times. I want to go back and watch the whole movie from start to finish. But because I got disgusted, I shut it off. I was like, here we go again. We're just teaching people that hunters are creeps, and,
Yep.
We're either that, or, we're the guys running around with pickup trucks, drinking beer and shooting that shit out the back. It's like, it's that is their tactic, and has been their tactic for many, many years. That's why they always, involve big name actors, and,
their narrative is out there. They've been doing it for years, and now we're in a position where,
right.
Wait a minute, maybe it's time we said something. But
Well,
their narrative is already ingrained in your mind.
Right, exactly. And we've always been taught to be quiet and to be discreet, and to not, don't show what hunting's about. Don't put anything out there. I mean, I remember when I was in New York and I got my first, when I took my hunter's ed, I think I was 9 years old. Yeah, right around 9 years old, I took my hunter's ed in New York. And one of the parts of the program was teaching you to be discreet, to not show, to not talk about, to not, and I don't think we're in a world that we can't do that anymore. We can't be recluse. We can't be like,
yep,
working in the shadows. Plus that makes us look shady if we're working in the shadows. We're not out there, being upfront with it. We used to shoot a deer, put it on the hood of the truck, or put it in the bed, or it's hell. My dad, we didn't even have a truck. We put it on the freaking
paraded around town.
we would bring it to the, to the town center or whatever the case may be. And everybody would come and talk. And so now that same situation is Instagram and Facebook and whatever. And it's
Yeah.
much grander, right? So now that we're opening the doors up to so many different eyes that may or may not be sympathetic with what you're doing, or may not understand, more importantly, will not understand what you're doing. It's we're dealing with a different animal. So I don't think that mentality. So it's my philosophy and those everybody that I work with, that we need to start changing the narrative. We need to start taking a page out of the playbook from anti-hunting and start taking it to the mainstream. And one of
Just flip the script.
Exactly. One of the main focuses of Howl for Wildlife, with the funding that we are receiving, once we, obviously going back to operational costs and whatever, once you pay that stuff, the excess funding is going to go to mainstream education programs.
Sure.
We have a vision. Charles and I started joking about this, about a year ago. Hey, why don't we, put the money together and put up a billboard in downtown San Francisco? Because he lives just outside of San Francisco. It's like a war zone there for when it comes to,
Yep.
the anti-hunting community. And let's put up a billboard there. Let's educate people that says, hey, on this billboard, hug a hunter because, he's the reason why you still see, or he or she is the reason why you still see elk in the woods. And this is the reason why you still can go hiking on this trail, or, whatever the case may be. So we want to do that. We want to start educating people, one, on the North American model of conservation and science-based wildlife management. And we want to educate them on how and why and where all these awesome things that they can enjoy. I could go backpacking. I could go mountain biking. I could do this. That is in part or sometimes completely funded by the efforts of sportsmen, right? So, and there's a really nobody knows it. Hell, half the hunters don't know this. Like half the people hunting don't understand how it works. They might have a little bit of knowledge of it, but they don't, and it's on us. We've done a shitty job. We've done a really crappy job.
Billions of dollars that hunters put back into the system to preserve conservation, like the Pittman-Robertson Act, and organizations like yours and Dallas Safari Club International, Rocky Mountain Elk. All their money goes back into conservation of not just the preservation of that population, but the land.
Right.
Because there's a trickle down effect. You might be doing something to preserve the elk habitat, but that brings back vegetation, which brings back butterflies or ladybugs, and
exactly.
It really helps everything. You're not just helping that one species.
Absolutely. And it's funny because I don't necessarily think that the anti-hunting community, I definitely know they don't view it this way, and this doesn't come from a place, I don't think it comes from a place of malice. But if they were to succeed with their agenda, it would almost definitely end up being the demise of wild things in wild places. And I don't think they realize that. Like, if you were to succeed and get rid of, wave my magic wand right now and hunting and fishing went away, do you know what would happen? Like, I mean, besides the economic,
they would be building condos instead of preserving the land for wildlife.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that, and just even the animals themselves, like there would be no checks and balances. There would be, one of their main like points that they use is, the wildlife was fine before man interrupted. They always treat us like we're this alien form that just appeared on the earth, in the last 100 years. But the fact of the matter is, we're animals too. Just because we have intellect and we separate ourselves from the wild animal kingdom, um, we've always been a part of the cycle, right?
Yeah.
We've always been a part of everything. And, that mentality of, oh, leave it be and it's going to return back to the way it was, that might have been true maybe a few hundred years ago. I mean, I don't know when you were a kid, but when I was a kid, we only had 4.5 billion people in the world. Now we have 8. You know,
Yeah.
we are we as humans, all we do is consume. We consume, and we take and we take and we take. And if you don't have the conservation mentality to conserve what it is that you want to keep and continue to keep for your generations to come, then we're not going to have that stuff, which is just going to go away, right? And
Yeah. Because organizations like PETA, who has a tremendous amount of capital behind them,
mm-hmm.
they're not using those funds towards preservation of X species or X habitat. They're spending money on campaigns to say, that's the bad guy. That's the one responsible. But we're taking our own money and we're preserving the land. We're preserving different species. We're regulating.
I want to stop you because that word preservation is almost a bad word, because there's a difference between preservation and conservation. And yes, their idea is to preserve. The problem is, in a preservation model, things are not managed. And whether we like it or not, we build roads, we have, even forest roads for logging, whatever the case may be. We alter the landscape, we alter the system in some way, shape, or form. So if you go in with a preservation model and there's not a management plan in place, 9 times out of 10, it's going to blow up in your face. That rhymes. Okay. I'm going to have to remember that. A good nursery rhyme. But I actually have I went to school for rangeland management and ecology in Colorado State University. I have a professional certificate in forestry from Penn Forester, and I was certified from, at the time was QDMA, and now it's the National Deer Association, but to be a deer steward. So I have a really good understanding of what conservation looks like, what management looks like. And ever since I graduated from that program years ago, I look at everything through the eyes of a manager. I mean, even people. I mean, I could put my tinfoil hat on and talk about that too. But I look at it anytime, and you can look at this too from an engineering standpoint too. You always got to give something to gain something. Anytime you come into a system from any angle, if you tweak something here, it's going to affect something on the opposite end, right?
Yep.
And that's wildlife management. So like, if there's not somebody kind of orchestrating that, and it doesn't balance itself out anymore, it can't, because it doesn't have, it's not untouched. That's what I'm saying. We whether we like it or not, we impact what happens with wildlife, or we impact habitat, or we impact, we impact the what do you call it, the climate, whatever it is. It has an effect on the wildlife. So it constantly has to be evolving, and it constantly has to have somebody with the intellect. It can't be left to just, deer to figure it out, or elk to figure it out. It has to have somebody to look at it and not only make it best for them, make it best for everyone, including us,
Yeah.
So, but That's my shtick on wildlife conservation right now, and the importance of where we're at. So
Well, we all need to stand together.
yeah,
That's the bottom line. It don't matter how you hunt. Uh, we're all sharing the same lifestyle, different variations of it, and we need to stand together to preserve it for future generations to enjoy as we have.
right. And if you don't mind, I'll talk specifically about Alpha Wildlife and how it works. Um, if you go to Alpha Wildlife, okay, and you become a member, we have a free membership, and we will have a paid membership coming up here pretty soon. Um, we've incentivized the whole website. So I'm just going to talk about the free membership because that's what's there. If you become a member, excuse me, we have an incentive program and a rewards program that every time you take an action, whether that's fill out a petition, sign an email, do a phone call, sign up for an educational Zoom meeting, and I'll get into all these here in a second, what those are specifically, you get a certain amount of points allotted for whatever that action was. Okay. And once you reach a certain amount of points, now there's giveaways, there's discount rewards, so on and so forth there for you. So we gamified it is what we've done. We've incentivized people to be activists. Okay, as if it wasn't enough that you wanted to do it out of the goodness of your heart and wanted to see, but we've made it even sexier. The platform itself is a tool to unify people, but to also take action on issues concerning wildlife and science-based conservation stuff. And so anytime a bill that comes up that opposes that or supports it, because we get some that are pro hunting,
Mhm.
we send out emails to all our members and we say, hey, come take action on this. And okay, so for instance, in Colorado, when you had alluded to earlier, they were trying to get away with we're trying to get rid of mountain lion, bobcat, bear, and lynx. And lynx, we don't hunt lynx, they're protected, but whatever, that was on that bill too. And you can go on the Action Center, click on that bill, put your name and your email, and hit send in 30 seconds. And you just sent, I think there was four sponsoring senators. I don't know if they were senators or congressmen. I don't remember. I think it was a Senate bill. So I think it was sent four senators that were supporting that bill. Each one of those senators would get an email from you.
Mhm.
And they're not a canned email. It comes directly from you. And we have like 6 to 10 different variations of what the message says. And it randomly puts that in there, as well as the subject line. Or on the system, you also have the opportunity to write your own message. You can just read the message that we were about to send, say, okay, I'm going to paraphrase it and write it in my own words.
Mhm.
Actually, we encourage that because that is even more
Personal.
personalized and it's more specific to what your view is, right? We were able to, on just that bill alone, send out 160,000 emails. And
That's powerful.
right. And my vision is, and now we have 18,000 people, so hopefully those numbers will go up. We only had 6 or 7 at that time. And the idea is we're 16 million people, 16 million hunters, sportsmen in the United States. If we had 1% of that active on Alpha Wildlife, every time a bill came up that was anti-hunting, that senator or that decision maker got 1.6 million emails.
Yep.
There's no way in hell that thing's going to pass, because 1.6 million people said, we don't want this.
Can't ignore it.
They can't. Exactly. It was so powerful. It's crazy how powerful it was.
The truth is, they don't know what state you're from. You're just opposing it.
But even that, so that's something that comes up all the time. Well, what if I'm not from the same state? They know, especially now more than ever in the last 10 years, how many people travel. We have 16 million hunters in the United States, but we sold like 86 million licenses.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you sold 86 million licenses, that means those 16 million people are 5 or 6. I don't know the math. I didn't do divided 86 by 16.
Buying in different states, and they're traveling for their hunts. And
so you're relative, you're relevant, I should say, to those decision makers, because you're somebody, you might not be a direct constituent that's going to vote for them, but you're somebody that's coming to spend money in their state.
Yep.
I mean, it's not, the almighty dollar is always the bottom end on everything. Okay. And really, it's the only reason why we still exist as a industry, is because hunting makes a crap ton of money for the government.
$96 billion industry, something around there.
It's ridiculous. And it's tied to so many things with travel, truck sales, ATV sales, all these little things that finger out from it. That, I mean, how many guys that own a truck that wouldn't own a truck if they weren't a hunter?
But then it also affects the mom and pop shops. You go on a destination hunt, you're stopping at the pizza place, you're stopping at the grocery store, you're gassing up, which is also bringing revenue into their local economy.
Right, exactly. So that, I mean, that I call it where we exist because of greed. We only exist because of that. Now, if the anti-hunters of the world figured out a way to replace our income, there would be, I mean, every politician in the world would just go with them, because they were
100%.
like, there's no reason for us to fight for you, right? So let's not take that for granted, because I've kind of gone down that road to be devil's advocate to see if I could figure it out. There's no way to, I shouldn't say there's no way to do it, but I don't see one that's feasible. Anyhow, going back to the website. So that's, what the tool that we designed is meant to give the average Joe or Josephine the word, the power of numbers and be able to have their voice heard.
Yeah.
We are doing things like, so I mentioned calls, right? On our platform for that, we'll talk about that Colorado bill again. We had the call center open. So if you go on there and you want to talk to the sponsoring senators, you click the button, it automatically connects you with them with a phone number that's relevant to their area. So if this was Colorado, it called them from a Colorado area code.
Sure.
They answer it, and while you're waiting for the call to connect it starts prompting you with these bullet points, talking points, right? So that you can talk
more intelligently about the topic.
Exactly. You could speak intelligently about it. And and that way you don't freeze up too, that kind of
speaking to a senator, you know what? They're regular people.
Right. Exactly. But so that's there, and it'll keep calling everybody in succession after you. As soon as it hangs up, it'll call the next person, the next person, the next person that are decision makers anyway. One of the other things we're doing is when we just did this in California, we hold these Zoom meetings and we educate any hunter that is wanting to go either sit in on, now they're doing a lot of these things by Zoom also, where a fish and game committee or or even the Senate, whatever, is meeting at the Capitol and they're going to discuss a bill, and you want to show up for that, either virtually or physically in person. In years past, there's always been like 2 hunters show up for that, and 100 anti-hunters, because they're excellent at this. They're great at organization. So the 2 hunters, they get up there, speak, and they're, I'm going to oversimplify this and I might hurt somebody's feelings, whatever, but they stand up and they're like, we don't want you to take this bill because it's our hunting rights and you're taking away our rights as Americans, whatever. And although that is to me, is a very valid point, to a senator or whatever, they don't give a shit. They don't want to hear about your hunting rights and your heritage. They just don't. They don't care about. It's not that I shouldn't say they don't care. It's not in their nature.
Their agenda.
Right. Exactly. And so what we're doing is we're educating people, so that when you stand up there, you say, okay, this science, this data that I'm giving you right here is why I don't want you to take away this hunting. And now they're like, they start to see what's going on here. Yep. And as the anti-hunters start talking, they start spitting out their own social science, which in my philosophy is mostly, conjecture and BS. But you have talking points to talk against those things. And now we're showing up with a force of 100 people. In the last couple of meetings, we have outnumbered the anti-hunters that showed up.
Mm-hmm.
We were smarter than them. We had the tools and the talking points to educate the decision makers. And the decision makers, oh, thank you. I didn't know about that. Because what happens with these bills is, and I'm going to go back. I'm going to use California again as an example. So like that bear bill, they do is they send out a poll. Okay. And they'll say something like, do you support lopping off the head of a bear and leaving the meat out in the field? Well, no hunter supports that. Plus it's illegal. Right. Mm-hmm. And anybody who reads that is going to say no, right? I do not support this. Or do you support a sow that has cubs being killed? No. Again, also illegal, but you're going to say no, hunter or not, or non-hunter. And then they'll take that data. They're going to go to the senator and they're going to say, hey, 95% of Californians are opposed to trophy hunting. So they basically drew a line that said trophy hunters just cut off heads, leave them there. We just kill sows, whatever the case may be. That's not what we do. Exactly. It's not what we do. But from the person who knows nothing about hunting, they look at that and they look at, oh, they got all this data, all this social data that opposes hunting. All right. So they look at that data, they look at the bill, and the bill, has a bunch of fluff and a bunch of twisted numbers and twisted viewpoints. And they look at it and they're like, all right, I'm going to save cute and fuzzy bears, and my constituents are going to love me because I'm saving cute and fuzzy bears, and I'm doing this great thing. And then once you get that senator and pull them aside and say, hey, look, this is the actual data. This is the actual numbers. This is what's going to happen if you get rid of bears. They're like, whoa, wait a second. I didn't know that. They only know what they know because they're being fed that from anti-hunting, right?
They're being led down a path that the antis want them to walk down. We need to lead them down another path with facts. Exactly. And the only way to do that is to educate yourself, get in front of them, and let them know exactly what we're trying to do and how we're trying to save this wildlife. So
precisely. That's our goal. That's our goal with Howl Wildlife, is to educate hunters and non-hunters on the, we have truth, we have the money, we have the numbers, we have all this stuff, work integrity, we have all that stuff working for us, and let's use it. Let's educate these people. Let's educate ourselves, educate the non-hunters in the mainstream, come out of the shadows, do what we need to do, and then on the bills that do make it to whatever platform it makes it to, we need to stand up. We need to come as one. We need to get on Howl. You need to voice your opinion.
Well,
And,
where can we find you, John?
It's howlforwildlife.org. It's HOWL for wildlife.org.
All spelled out.
Yep, all spelled out.
Okay. Well, we're definitely running out of time, but I want to acknowledge our sponsors. This episode's been brought to you by Underwood Ammo, Phone Scope and Pyro Putty, and Hunt of a Lifetime. And definitely go to John's site, educate yourself, sign up for howlforwildlife.org, subscribe to American Outdoor News Podcast, which you can find on Waypoint TV, and you can also find on our website, AmericanOutdoorNews.com. You can sign up for free, which will also give you access to the magazine. So until next time, we appreciate your time, and tune in for next time. Thanks again.
We love our children. We protect them. We guide them. We prepare them for life in the world. With all that we do, from deep in our hearts, we cannot control all things. Life-threatening illnesses and disabilities affect far too many of our children each year. While we cannot change the circumstance, we can make dreams come true. Dreams to provide hope, to provide spiritual healing and strength, to provide moments of happiness and relief in the hardest of times. We can give a glimmer of light and hope in a time of darkness and despair. Join huntofalifetime.org to help make dreams come true, to provide hope for children with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Hunt of a Lifetime is a nonprofit organization fulfilling dreams for hunting and fishing trips to youth 21 and under with life-threatening illnesses and disabilities. Visit huntofalifetime.org to learn how you can make a difference.